Hello, and welcome to Community Voices, where we talk to Humboldt County's movers and shakers. Today's guest, Gary Friedrichsen, Treasurer, Redwood Region Audubon Society. And now here's your host, Paul Bressoud.
Hello, and welcome to Access Humboldt's Community Voices. I'm your host, Paul Bressoud. Today we're speaking with Gary Friedrichsen, who is the Redwood Regional Director for the Audubon Society. And welcome, Gary, to the show. What I like to ask people is, what is that? What is your title? What are you doing?
Well, I will just start off by correcting you. Actually, I'm the treasurer for the Redwood Regional Audubon Society.
Hey, well, hang on, stop. Is the director there? Can we get that first? And I mean, we're only going for the big fish here.
Directors? No, we don't actually even have a director. We have a board president, and we have vice president, secretary, treasurer, kind of the normal grouping of saying. There's not a director. We're all volunteer. So there's no paid staff. We do everything that we do, that we accomplish. We do it with volunteers.
Well, thank you for that. Why no director?
A director costs money, and a lot of times what happens is a director spends the most of their time basically just getting money to support themselves in the position. And so it's really hard.
Well, let me ask you this. The Audubon Society is a national society. It might even be a global society. Is that true?
It's a national. There are probably Audubons around the world, but I'm not familiar or knowledgeable of them. I do know that we are we're organized underneath their general umbrella. And so National Audubon exists, and you can join National Audubon, and they generally will then direct you. If you're a resident in this area, you would then be directed to get in touch with us as their local chapter.
Now, what kind of guidance does the national group give you?
Well, there's of course there are guidelines, and we have to be a good representative for them, and we don't go too far out of the limits. There are some times where they have an opinion about something, and we have, in especially a local issue, we have a more knowledgeable opinion. This actually took place. They came out kind of hard against shellfish, aquaculture. And we see it as a viable interest here in Humboldt Bay and Humboldt County. And so we want to work with the aquaculturists here as much as we possibly can. We do air for the resource almost in every turn, but we didn't take such a hardened stand as the state Audubon and the National Audubon took on just kind of wanting to close down all aquaculture.
So can you lend your support as a local organization while the state and the national may not?
Well, yes, we do. I mean, I think that we will basically talk with the state representatives, not so much national. We work more closely with our state affiliate. To talk over there, and there's a very good give and take between the state and say a county-wide organization. We actually serve Humboldt, Del Norte, and Trinity County as our society, but we do work with the state to kind of skip along the path holding hands.
How many organizations are there in the state, or roughly how many?
Oh, that's a good question. I bet you there's probably on the order of 100 or more. I that's really a good question. I don't know. I think large urban areas, San Francisco has their own, Marin has their own, most counties have their own, and then sometimes there's, if the county's large enough and it's disparate enough, there may be 3 and 4 different club or societies in a given county.
Now, do they ever get together? Is there a state convention at any one time?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And unfortunately, I've never been to one, but one of our long-term board members, Chet Ogan, has been to several over the years, and has brought back different activities for us to try to share, funding ideas, other conservation ideas, and stuff like that. So yes, there definitely is some communication between other groups through the state network.
Now, I noticed as I went to your website and I looked at the calendar, and we can talk about how you were able to do this during the pandemic. You had all kinds of walks and tours for people to get out in the habitat and to see the wildlife. Is that kind of a backbone activity of the Audubon Society, to take people out and show them these habitats?
Yeah, I would say that fits into somewhat of our education arm of Audubon. We have various committees, subcommittees within the group. And that's why I'm the treasurer, so I'm more familiar with fundraising activities and those things. And I'm not on the conservation committee, so I'm not as aware of the conservation issues. But as far as the field trips, they accomplish a couple of things that are very valuable. We do get to spread the word that it's good to have the kind of habitats we have here for not only the birds but wildlife in general. And we also we can look for new members that way. We can share the general activities of our board, of our society, with the general public. And it was difficult during COVID. Of course, we had to stop completely when we were in the red tier, and during the orange tier. I'm not sure about the tiers, but I know we were down at one point. We were able to start the tours again, but only with 8 people total, and that would be including the guide, the docent. So, and that's using proper distancing and masks and not sharing any optical equipment, which is really hard, but we did it. And that's starting to loosen up now. We can have a few more people on our given tours, and we're still, of course, wearing masks and advising that, following basically county best health guidelines.
Now, did having to stop the walks and to go ahead and connect people with the Audubon Society, was that damaging, say, from a funding standpoint, being able to solicit donations?
No, we don't really get donations through the field trips.
Well, I just mean turning people on to it.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that is it's definitely decreases our exposure.
Right.
But what we do is we have a number of other funding activities. We have an annual banquet. Of course, we didn't get to do it this last year because too much. We were able to pull it off. February of 2020 is one of the last activities we held just before things started getting closed down. We held a very successful banquet here in Arcata, where we normally do it, and that's a fundraiser, as well as an opportunity for the club members to get together, and general public also enjoy hopefully a good meal, and listen to some great speakers that we've had over the years, talk about conservation issues, bird issues. So that's a really nice way to get out to the public, and we have a silent auction during that event, and we do make money, some money, by having items donated that are then sold at a silent auction during that time.
When you do fundraisers of that nature, does that go specifically to the local chapter?
Oh yes. That's all goes just to Redwood Region Audubon Society. The way that kind of works between national and our club is that let's say you want to join Audubon Society. You can go into a magazine or just go online, and you will request pay for a donation for Audubon magazine. You automatically are then directed to our website and to join us, I think. And Audubon then, of the number of people that sign up through, or not through, that sign up within our given area, they will send us a portion of that back to us. So we get a check, from National Audubon every year that is a portion of the monies that they've received for club members. Now, we can also have local members that are not necessarily, or well, not at all, that not involved with the national. They can pay, I think it's $15 for just a local membership, and that entitles them to get on the mailing for the Eco News, which of course includes the Sandpiper. And the Sandpiper is our newsletter that is published now monthly. We used to be, I think, bi-monthly, or not bi-monthly, every other month, and now we've actually gone to publishing every month with the Eco News, because the Eco News does pretty much every month.
So in this in Humboldt County, I would imagine, I mean, this is a guess maybe, that you have a really high percentage of people compared to other counties or counties of similar populations that belong to the Redwood Regional Audubon Society, the local Audubon Society.
I think this is a pretty, I'd say pretty hip, pretty aware area, and I think we're fortunate in that. But I think you might be surprised. I think the largest Audubon society on the West Coast is Portland.
Really?
Portland is a giant. They have a fabulous. In fact, a couple of the people that used to be here on our board, Adrian used to be Adrian Bearstock, is now Adrian Wolf Lockett. She's past president. Was way involved, and she and her husband Bob Lockett are still really active with Portland Audubon, and yet they still support us. I mean, we have another fundraising activity we have is the Tim McKay Memorial Birdathon. And I have to say, Bob and Adrian are some of the quickest check writers to support us in our efforts to go out and raise funds for Audubon and for Redwood Region Audubon and the North Coast Environmental Center during that event. So that's another fundraiser. But that was started by Tim McKay back when maybe many of your listeners will remember Tim, and he had 30 years. He was the director of the North Coast North Coast Environmental Center, and it was his idea to get the Birdathon started back in I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. And it was his idea to split the money equally between the NEC and Audubon. And we just wanted to keep that going. So I think we're coming up on our 7th annual birdathon that'll happen this fall.
Well, I can't be any kind of an interviewer without asking, what is a birdathon? Tell us what.
Well, yeah, I suppose that maybe need a little bit of explanation. A birdathon is like a walkathon or anything else. You basically go out, and that's the important part, is to go out amongst your friends, family, strangers, businesses, and try to get them to commit to donate, say 10 cents a bird or a nickel a bird, or some people like I was saying, Bob and Adrian, they're good for $1 a bird of all things.
Is that a bird that you identify?
Yeah. So you'll get all your donors lined up, and then your team. We have a four-person team that we have been working with these last few years, and on a given day in a given week, within that week, we'll pick a day to drive, probably because we try to do it just in the county. So we would drive up to Horse Mountain or Titlow Hill, someplace up there, and camp for the night. And at night we're listening for owls and trying to get some of the mountain birds. And then next morning, when it becomes daylight, you're kind of on the racetrack and you're trying to see as many birds as you can. It's a game, it's just a game.
I've got to ask another question. If it's dark and you're hearing the birds, does it count that you hear them and can identify them by sound?
At least 2 people in the group have to hear them, and yes, it definitely counts.
Wow. And is that an official birding?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's very rules or something?
Totally acceptable to count herd birds.
Birds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it is actually fairly easy. I'm sure you've been out at times and you've heard a great horned owl hooting, and you go, oh, wow.
Right.
You may not know for sure it's a great horned owl, but you've heard an owl calling at night. And there are some people. I don't have the best ears in the world, but we have some people in the county that have exceptional ears, and we're lucky to have the 3 other people that I bird with actually still have ears.
Are they high draft picks for teams if they're good at hearing birds? I mean,
that's one of the requirements. They also have to have the interest. They have to have other friends that have money so they can get donors. And we all have to get along. So that's part of the deal. I think we talked earlier that you're a friend of Bob Sizo, and Bob Sizo is a perfect example of the kind of guy that you want, because he's gregarious. He knows a lot of people, and he knows how to twist arms.
Yeah, there you go. So now you leave the mountain and you're headed out where now to find these birds on the birdathon?
Well, you start up in a high mountain area, because there are birds that live in specific habitats. There are birds that by then have migrated into our area, either whether it's a spring count or a fall count. There are birds that nest in that given habitat in the piney woods, up out of the redwoods. And so you're looking for birds specifically that are in those higher elevations. And then as the morning progresses and you have seen as many birds as you can up there, you start working your way down the mountain and out to the coast, where you're going to work on seabirds. You get to Humboldt Bay, you're going to work on shorebirds. You get to riparian areas, and you get other birds that are associated with that. And so it's a bit of a challenge to pick the right route and have to be and get to be lucky enough to have good tides during that, and to have enough people, or have your team be able to, get to see and or hear birds. Again, you have to 2 people. One person can't just see a double opened in walking shock with the flip over twice and say, I saw it. one of the other three people have to agree that was there.
Wow. So, I mean, the Audubon Society is the winner and the local is the winner. But is there a competition amongst these teams that who sees and identifies the most?
Absolutely.
Is this some sort of formal recognition, or maybe over a beverage after? How does it work?
I think it's maybe the beverage after is a good deal. It's just there's a group of four, maybe it's six people that have set the county record.
Which is what?
The number of birds that have been seen, and it's right at 300.
300 in one day?
In a day.
Well, then I've got to ask this question. How many species of birds frequent Humboldt County?
Well,
or Trinity and Del Norte combined?
Yeah, I guess if you were to combine this area, you could take a look at Dr. Harris's book and come up with a very accurate list. But it's probably, there's migrants that come in and out, or vagrants that come in and out. But I think that you're looking at close to 400 species that would be around during a given year. Now, to see all of those, it's pretty tough. I think you're thinking birds in this area. Normal people, I'm counting myself as a somewhat normal person. On a birding adventure, I think we're probably lucky to get into the 200s, the 250s.
Wow.
I mean, I've done 256 as my best.
Wow, 256 in one day?
Yeah, but I was with some good ears.
Wow. Now here's a question. Every now and then, I will hear, or you'll see clusters of people where a very rare bird has blown into the area. Is this something that there's a pipeline along the Audubon Society to let people know so they can go out and get a glimpse of that bird?
Yes, there's a new thing out of Cornell University called eBird, and it's a phenomenal app. I guess it's an app, but it's you can basically sign up, and I've got on my phone here, I can get a little ding can go off on my phone, and I will know within seconds of a bird being seen in Del Norte County, in Humboldt County, or someplace in the United States. So I'm getting 3 reports from eBird.
Now, I'm going to finish it up with a last question. Don't you think that's exactly what the Audubon Society do? Get people excited, get people out, get people participating in these habitats, and get them to be lifelong birders.
Yeah, I think that anything that we do or that we can do to get people to enjoy nature and to want to protect what we already have. We've lost a lot, of course, but we still have a wonderful good bunch of habitat in this area, and our whole goal is to help protect that. It's to try to give the birds and the mammals, the rest of the animals and plants, to give them a voice when it comes to other activities, human caused activities that could degrade the habitat or completely destroy the habitat. So we try to be mindful of that. We're always thinking, I think, basically, I mean, it's very exciting to get out and go birding. That's what we all love to do, but it really is a smaller part of Audubon. Our Redwood region Audubon is more focused on actually trying to give them a voice.
Fantastic. That's the old the Dr. Seuss, right? I speak for the trees because the trees got no tongues. So there you go. Well, Gary Friedrichsen, the treasurer, not the director of the Redwood Regional Audubon. Thank you for this little snippet. For folks like me that would be entry level, going on these walks and having fun with the bird, heck, counting birds in a game for a beverage. I don't know. I think I could participate in that. That sounds fantastic. So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for being our guest. And for the audience, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next time on Community Voices.
Very much my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been Community Voices with your host, Paul Bressoud. Thank you for joining us. If you represent a nonprofit organization and are interested in being a guest on Community Voices, send an email to info@accesshumboldt.net or call 476-1798. Access Humboldt, local voices through community media.